I taught a graduate course in nutritional toxicology for quite a while, and one of the exercises that our students did, even in the early days of the web, even when most people couldn't see the web, we made them make web pages rather than term papers to express what they discovered about particular toxins in their study in the course. And a number of them made web pages about a toxin produced by Aspergillus flavus called aflatoxin. And this is found in corn and peanuts in this country and a few other crops. And in the US, we go to great trouble to make sure it's not in the food chain and mostly get that job done. It causes malnutrition, it causes a suppression of immune function, it causes liver damage, it causes liver cancer. It's not one of these, maybe it's a carcinogen things. I mean, it is a class 1, you're going to get cancer at the right dose someday from taking it. So it's a serious toxin. That's why we don't want it in our food and why we spend hundreds of millions of dollars in this country making sure it isn't there. So one of these web pages my students made was picked up 10 years later by a pediatrician named Pat Wolf from St. Louis, who had a small non-governmental organization called Meds and Food for Kids. And there has been recent discoveries in the treatment of malnourished children. And Haiti has plenty of those. A huge number of the children are malnourished, and about 10–20% are severely malnourished. And the traditional treatment for that involved going to the hospital, getting IV needles, getting pretty worthless corn, soy, gruels to get you back. And it's very often it just didn't work. What they've discovered is by making a mixture of peanuts, milk powder, oil, sugar, and some vitamin mineral mix, you have a mixture which has very little water in it. And it can be stored in a person's house or hut or tent and without spoiling for a long, long period of time. And children that are given this stuff can go from having kwashiorkor, marasmus, severe malnutrition, back on the growth curve in 7 or 8 weeks without having to go to the hospital. It can be treated at home. It's really magic stuff. So she picked up this webpage and asked, well, do you think there are, we're making this out of local peanuts, do you think there are aflatoxins? And this was back in '06. And so I don't want you to think that their product has aflatoxins now, because it doesn't. But back then, some of the peanuts they were about to make it out of did. And it had a lot. It had about 80 times what you're legally allowed to feed to a cow in this country. And they were about to put it in baby food. So we worked with them on how to tell if the peanuts had aflatoxin in it, show them how to do some simple tests, and how to sort the peanuts. In Haiti, there's plenty of people there to work. And so a lot of them, we taught them how to be able to feel a peanut and look at it and decide whether it was likely to be carrying some aflatoxin or not. And was able to drop the amount of aflatoxin in their product from 1,500 parts per billion to sometimes no trace, but certainly well below 4, which would meet requirements in the US, Europe, or any place else. And so that's how I got involved in it. And we're still helping them with that to sustain that effort. We're also studying individuals there to see how their bodies change aflatoxin as it goes through their bodies. Where we've got the aflatoxin now, it's only in one little factory in one town in Cap Haitian. The rest of the country is full of aflatoxin from their corn, from their peanuts. And so we are studying how people's bodies deal with that, how well they're able to detoxify it, and see how HIV/AIDS or malnutrition affects their ability to detoxify the aflatoxins they take on. And that's what I have a graduate student involved in now. So that's how I got involved in it, and it's just the animal that we're working with in this case is the human animal. We've worked with many, many different species, and occasionally do human studies too. Well, in the early part of it, we were doing this by email from Ithaca down to Cap Haitian and to St. Louis, the people working with it. And so the most immediate partners there is we made suggestions on how they might go about buying peanuts, growing them, sorting them. It was done through, I guess, Dumas Louis, the local manager of Med and Foods for Kids in Haiti, and Dr. Wolf, the manager there. When we went to Haiti to develop the methods to sort them, or to apply methods developed elsewhere also to sort them, the actual people doing the sorting for the factory, we sat down and they helped develop them. And so the actual treatments for the experiment that we ran to improve it were developed by the people who would be immediately using the information that we got. So we sat down with the people sorting and worked out how it was going to happen. And then, you know, tested the peanuts that were thrown away, the peanuts that were kept, and to see whether it was effective or not, and then made adjustments. And it was done, the research itself was done with the people doing the sorting. Now to expand it beyond that one little non-government organization to others, it involves translating all this to Haitian Creole and talking to others in different factories. And we were just beginning that work. We were in Port-au-Prince a week or two before the earthquake, and we'd gathered peanut butter samples from 16 different companies for analysis, and which is going on now or has been finished. And then we're going to get back in contact with them and offer this technology to them to extend it to them. Unfortunately, at this juncture, we don't know how many of those 16 different little peanut butter companies the people are still alive that had them. One we know for sure, and they're on it, but the rest of them, we're having trouble getting in contact with them. But we will eventually. And certainly the peanut butter companies up in Cap Haitian that was unaffected by the earthquake, at least directly, we know who they are, and we can get back with them and extend to them the happy results of technology that was really developed to a great deal by the very people in that area. So in that case, dissemination and application of the science was part of the experiment to begin with. In agriculture, it's more common than it is in maybe some other fields. A lot of the work, more and more of the work that this department does on dairy farms, beef farms, and so on, is actually done on commercial farms. We have our own facilities, and we do really cool stuff there. But this is not at all unusual in this field.